Hello, I'm Dave Grindle, the founder of Zero Fail Enterprises. I've developed an idea which actually solves a slew of major problems we face as a species. It costs next to nothing and is based entirely on a union of single-point responsibility and social media. I have a singular goal in creating Zero Fail. I will effectively create the most genius income generation machine of our time and use its massive profits to solve problems around the world directly. Now, Zero Fail at this point is not an organization. It's just me. A single point of responsibility in the effort and the drive to putting funds where they are needed. We solve the issue of cost by eliminating all of it. And the money that we generate is based clearly off a situation where everyone wins. It might sound good, like too good to be true, trust me, but I have about a half an hour, and after our discussion, I think that if you are a corporation who focuses on civics or the betterment of humankind, if you're a philanthropist, if you're a celebrity, if you're somebody who has influence in the world, your presence through what you have done, who you are, what you stand for, your previous message to the public, if you are somebody that holds influence over your fellow man and wants to see all the men, women, and children of the world in a position of security, foundation, prosperity, where the goodness in them can come out because the things that make human beings hard and bitter have been dispersed. The formula is basic. 7 steps, very conservatively. Number 1 is a YouTube channel, which is free. Number 2, original content in 1 minute to 1 minute 30-second clips for free. Step 3 is an addendum to that, which is, since these are homemade segments, no copyrights, no royalties due out, because it's just my face, my voice, discussing what causes the research that's been done and where the money is going. And we get into the transparency of that fairly soon. Attach as many advertisements as possible to each clip. Now, having done the basics of research, which I talk about a little bit later, loading down a video with as much profitability in advertisements and then uploading, which is step 5, as many clips as possible per day. Ideally, 100 plus, which does not soak up a great amount of time. Encourage the global audience to watch as many videos as they can per day to facilitate maximum profit, step 6. And step 7 is use the money for good. Now, you will agree with me, I hope, that I think the human audience is skeptical in nature at this point, and are hesitant to believe that anyone means to do what they say or are without an agenda, and I agree. That's why, beside the initial investment, which is in me, to sustain my family and I until this project reaches its inevitable level of success where money, especially in the terms of initial investment, is no longer an issue. No viewer is encouraged to give anything but their time from day one. By assembling a regular viewership across the globe of increasing scale, fueled by the consistent payout to communities, those in debt, youth, the hungry and the homeless, and those who have come up with viable ideas to make a change, that's how we'll triumph. That's how we'll succeed. When there is no scandal, there is no fraud, there is no underhanded dealings or this picture behind the picture of somebody not asking for the first time for money from the collective to give back to the collective. I'm just asking for your time. From the most generic calculator available, thanks to youtube.co and a quick Google search, right? After AdSense and Google take their cut, a YouTuber can make anywhere from $1.36 to $3.40 US dollar per 1,000 views. Pardon me. Therefore, at 1 million views, one video brings in $1,360 to $3,400. At 100 videos per day, we could expect to see an average of about $200,000 on a daily basis. If we've seen anything proven by the gigantic audience YouTube attracts, an idea of this merit and substance and straightforwardness, its honesty, and the real viability of somebody sitting there day in, day out, taking in massive amounts of money and turning around and dispersing it directly to the community. Like, nobody, you're not talking about millionaires and billionaires or trillionaires funneling in money and then a middleman takes a huge cut and a few services sprinkle out. That's how it seems to work now because we still have all these problems. Wait till I get to the most heavy-hitting factor, which I think makes the need for the foundation of Zero Fail to accept the responsibility myself of being what I've called in the past as an ideal title for me, at least in the beginning, was the Duke of YouTube. Somebody who harnessed the massive potential engine of YouTube and had a love for humanity, for progress. And I'm not talking about wild ideas. I'm not even talking, don't, as a sidebar, okay, don't look to me to be the person who, number one, showed up all over the news. I saw that problem. Showed up all over the news with a mansion, helicopters, cars. Like, when we start talking about what I was saying right before I began this tangent, $200,000 a day is peanuts. Because the idea is so solid in its viability and its profitability that we could be attracting several hundred million viewers per video each day. If I can make an approximation in which this ideal takes hold, let's say 200 million people take half an hour each day during downtime or transit, commuting back and forth to work, to the store, and watch just 10 videos. That's 2 billion views at the desired RPM, as it will be called here, which is the value of 1,000 views. So, one payout per 1,000 views, RPM, of $2.85. As we discuss the range from a little bit under $1.50 to $3.40, asking for $2.85 for a dynamite, massive collection of viewers in one spot, making that advertising time more valuable than 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 Super Bowls down the line. When you could talk about a audience of 1.5 billion viewers on a consistent basis putting out a ton of videos every day, we get into some crazy numbers. But that also represents an incredible slot of time. 1 to 2 minute clips where you can tell something essentially to the whole world. And think about the value of that. And I can barely contain myself to get to the most bammer fact of all time. But asking for 285 RPM is equivalent to 5.7 million US dollars every day. How many mouths could be fed for that? How many people could be bought out of debt, given a second chance? How many schools, hospitals, clinics, community centers, libraries, playgrounds, fire stations, shelters, anything, etc.? How many could be funded with that sort of monetary power? Enough. Enough is the answer. Enough to begin mending the broken areas of the world, helping the people that really need a hand. And not to be condescending, but it could be done without the need for fancy dinners and tuxedos, galas, and gentle talk about the suffering of the common folks. Right, let's jump to a little bit of math and business here, because talking about an initial investment, I want you to get to know me, okay? Because I plan to live my life essentially on public record from the initialization of Zero Fail. That's a very important part of the process. Okay, I'm a 27-year-old biracial dude from the suburban area of Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, small shot to Philadelphia, to which I later moved to the suburban areas of and dabbled in the city of. I've spent the last cumulative, I'd say, 8 years working as a radar technician in the United States Navy. I've spent the last chunk of a year out of the Navy working as a technician, working in the field. I just interacting with people here in the United States and interacting with people overseas are exactly the same. It's a huge driving factor for the foundation of Zero Fail in the first place, is because the reason why dealing with people all around the world is the same is because a huge majority of people are dealing with the same problems. And so when you go anywhere, I'm not just talking about people that play video games or other people that travel, other people that are in the service, such a small picture of the world. People that are farmers, salesmen, business executives, blue-collar guys, average Joes, people from all around the world gathering in these spots where, coincidentally, sailors go into port overseas and either take liberty or do business. Mostly do liberty. You get liberty mostly everywhere. Even in the places where we had Connex boxes and double the armed guards around the pier, we still went out on liberty and everybody had a great time. There was never an incident. You know why? Because we're all regular people in the Navy. And we're going to places where they're all regular people. There were no IEDs. There were no suicide bombings. There was no attacks on anybody at any time in any of my deployments. We did butt heads with other nations, though, which is very interesting. The tense nature of our friendship, our non-hostility with other world powers, other governments, is not affected in any way at the regular level. When we pull into port, we're there spending money, stimulating their economy, making friendships, drinking beers with people, picking up girls, picking up guys, interacting with yes, I suppose that's appropriate to say, because that is the point. And I don't want to spend this entire segment working on, talking about the Navy, but just know that I experienced cultures from 20 nations, and all of them are just like us, trying to eat, trying to drink, trying to sleep, trying to be enough of a benefit to society that you're looked at in good standing. You have friends, you have family, you are either born into a situation where your life is secure in the most basic ways, or it's not. And that's a matter of luck. Really. Think about you. You're a conscious person right now, and you are listening to YouTube. Hopefully you're not starving, you're not freezing or, burning up in the sun, that you have clothes all over your body where you want them, that you have a place that is a shelter from the elements, from the weather, from the temperature, which is pretty much covered by elements, I suppose, but you're protected from the elements, you're protected from the bad will of any other random human being, and it's a place where you can feel safe, you can feel secure, you can gather all the objects and the people that you are close with or that you want in your life, and you can live safely. And you've done that until now if you're listening to this. You've survived long enough to be hearing this message, and I feel like right now we can implement this movement, this project, this enterprise for a future where everybody continues to have at least what you've got, and more as we progress and progress. I personally am engaged to the love of my life. I've got a roof over my head. I've got 3 awesome children. I've got 2 little dogs. Well, one's not so little, an English bulldog named Watson. He's fat, snores while he's awake, but I gotta worry about him, I've been outspoken personally in social media communities for, I'd say, almost a decade. From from Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, not so much Instagram or Snapchat or any of that stuff, but numerous debate websites. You can have a great conversation in a YouTube comment section. You know, when you're watching a video about trolling on Modern Warfare 3 for laughs and ambiance while you play video games, and in the comments all of a sudden we're talking about how Trump should tear down the Statue of Liberty when he builds his wall and use that as the metal for the gates. And I was like, oh, what an epic point. And then 20 minutes later, it's about how, you know, jet fuel can't melt steel beams. And now I can't sleep, you know. But that's okay. That's aside from the point. Let's get back to business here. But that is just a little bit about me and why I want this project to succeed. And there are specifics, don't worry. You know, I'm also currently a student at Full Sail University, pursuit of Bachelor's of Sciences in Game Design. Online while working. I will commit to with that GI Bill. Hashtag GI Bill. Hashtag Chapter 33. Thank God. I'll commit to keeping the financial documentation extremely transparent as a professional is what I'm saying, as well as where every cent goes to. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that people need to see proof for what they give. Maybe some would be fine watching a few videos. Well, we can tell by the popularity of reality TV that, you know, if they watch 10 videos a day and, you know, you helped a stranger live in luxury and excess and just have an episode of Cribs every day or something like that, you know, that's popular on TV, but I think many more will endure the ads. They'll connect with me, will grow into a global community, clawing for every inch if humanity has proven itself up to this point, but they'll endure that, they'll join with me, and we'll explore the use of every dollar, recording the effect on everyone we touch, dude. They'll do that if in the end they've changed the world without spending a dime or leaving their routine. When it comes to the math, like I might have said, might not have said already, I'm reaching out primarily in the beginning, outside of basic crowdfunding, which is upcoming, to those who do listen to Twitter, those who do watch YouTube, who have found this video and are somebody who is a philanthropist, who is a corporate executive member who makes decisions on who to back financially or what ideals you come and get behind. And also the people who are affluent in society are not necessarily affluent as much as recognizable, and their opinion is taken with consideration. I look at people like Ellen DeGeneres, really. Maybe Dr. Phil, television personalities who, and not to mention all the talk shows at night, the audiences that follow comedians or actors or athletes who then become public figures in the entertainment industry and take their opinion with some salt. Because if we can get a large audience from the start, it gets us off the ground like that. It gets us off the ground when you start making income. I mean, even if 100 million people, like I said, view 10 videos a day, that's money. And we can get started giving back to the community and show everybody that we're serious. Because the initial investment, I threw out math at $85,000, but that's not for you don't need any money to get the Duke of YouTube, to get Zero Fail off the ground. That money would be straight up to get my family out of debt entirely and pay my rent. Thank God I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and my rent is $815. My electric's $130, and I have a AC going and lights left on constantly by 10-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and my newborn son, my infant son, is not guilty of any of that yet, and I pay $130. So my cost of living is low, and we shop at Winn-Dixie and get enough food to feed all these mouths. And my dog's hungry mouths. And we could easily, for $85,000, be cost-free for at least 1 year. And I would buy a dedicated home office, which would include the mountains of software for financial protection, obviously to enroll in as many protective measures for somebody that wants to be a personal financier. Because for me, I would be brokering a deal with YouTube with the biggest philanthropic hub of Zero Fail, of just me. I would say if you can at least deposit the gains from this channel to this protected private account, I suppose just for me, unless, there's a better way to do it and somebody who is a philanthropist is known to do, that has the knowledge that can help me out, hook up with me there, and we can get this done. I'll give my contact information down the line. But to get the electronics right, just a home computer with all of the faxes, printer, I think you can get an all-in-one, a decent one, like not an industrial, but a commercial grade one, for a couple $100. Like $85,000 is absolutely nothing, I think. And to set myself up to be able to dedicate 12 hours plus every day, not only to communicating with people from communities across the United States, across the world that reach out to me, and I reach out to them by doing research, the 10 most poverty-stricken cities in the United States as a starter on a Monday. So a Monday morning, that's what I'm looking up. And we've had, really because of my discussion with public figures, getting out there on social media, getting out there, if we can get radio broadcasting time, to get picked up on some of the most populous Twitter circles, Instagram, Facebook circles, YouTube personalities, and get this to as many people as we can across the world, then that becomes an easily 9-figure plus annual income. Maybe, no, it should be 10 figures. The math is down there and I'll get to it, I promise. But so everything is taken care of for me for 85 grand. And like I said, so I was on the Monday morning, essentially. Like, if I see the 10 most poverty stricken and then break that down and get in touch with the mayor's office of Philadelphia, and I say, hey, look, boss, I'm Dave Grindle. I'm with Zero Fail. I've got about $200 million here. What I would like you to do is contact all of the Walmarts within as many of the underprivileged, poverty-stricken, or, necessarily poorer neighborhoods. And, whatever tier, you tell me, because you're the mayor, where the areas that need help are. And I want you to buy out not just non-perishable food, but crates and trucks full of drinking water. And I need you to take those and just go ahead and have trucks park out all across that area and give out clothes, amenities, food, drink, get everybody taken care of. And that's happening in 2, 3, 4 cities a day all week. And it's across the world. And I mean, my ability to take money from one point and put it... Now, here's the catch. Is the other point... Now, I wouldn't just call up the mayor of Philadelphia and say, I want to directly donate through you. Here's $200 million, feed the people. My pitch would be to say, here's $200 million. If I could, and I don't know, because it's like, then I'll donate $20 million to the city treasury to grease the wheels and say, this has to be done as a condition if you want any of this to happen. And you don't want it to have been said, sir, that you turned down $200 million of free aid because you couldn't organize that within a day. You've got an entire staff. You can be on the phone with the head or the regional rep of Walmarts everywhere. And that is how the chain of command breaks down all the way to where these trucks are friggin' rolling out. Because, that's what people need. They need to not be worried about stuff that could be taken care of. So they can focus on being of use to society, at the very least. You know what I mean? Like, there is absolutely no way that this project could fail. Especially when it succeeds early on and people understand that this is not a joke and it's not a scam. I can disperse the expectation of being in it for the money and negate the possibility of scandal or fraud by offering a constant, straightforward presence. When the audience is seeing an apartment instead of a mansion and a paid-off 2011 Nissan Armada instead of a Bugatti, then they can rest easy knowing that I kept my word. And it's so typical to then a few years maybe down the line, you find, headlines everywhere. Dave Grindle found in another Panama Papers, let's say the Cyprus Papers, and that's coming out. And it's like, Dave Grindle, world-renowned philanthropist, and having given cumulative billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, getting people started in education. Every school in at least the United States and beyond having a new updated computer system. Every student in America has a tablet. And a personal tablet that they can go with them. It's got good software. It's got great learning programs. Everybody's got medicine. I mean, because if I had a few billion to throw around, I'm sure that at least every veteran and every homeless person in the United States would have a roof over their heads. Wouldn't they? If somebody really wanted to fix these problems and they had the money to do it, they could do it. It's all possible. All the tools are in place. All the structures and infrastructures of society are in place for us already. But we made it so that it runs off money. And now we have a way to generate infinite money and make infinite better changes. I'll lay the heavy fact on you, the one that really made me sit back and feel 100%, and how important is that? 100% confident. And I'll hit you with a fact, the one that made me say, okay, this has to happen. I must succeed no matter what the cost, no matter what the struggle. It's so easy to do. The current United Nations cost estimate to end world hunger is about $30 billion a year. And if 1.5 billion people watched 15 videos a day, we would make $36,385,500,000 annually. Problem solved. That's nearly $7 billion left over after the first year to fund projects which make food and water easier to produce in the first place, innovate in bringing technology into the world, information and education to the entirety of the human race, and create jobs and systems to improve our world and the way it's run. Game over. There is absolutely no way to deny that this is the key. And the reason I want to be at the forefront is because I know all you can trust is yourself. So the goal here, the struggle here will be not just to get you to trust me, if as an investor to believe in me, if as a viewer to believe in me, if as somebody who has wants or needs unmet in the world, and you take issue in any way with the way the world is run and the situation of humanity across the face of the earth, which is rich and wide enough to provide for us all, then believe in me. Believe in me. Contact me. epicguidance@gmail.com. We can win, dude. This is the answer.